A baby elephant dashed across a highway and never got back up. What her mother did next stunned even veteran rangers. Have you ever seen an animal mourn like this? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. Deep within the heart of Peninsula Malaysia lies a place where time itself seems to pause, a realm of green giants and whispered history. This is the Bilam Temengger Forest Reserve, a 130-million-year-old living cathedral of ancient trees, veiled mist, and rich, intricate life. One of the oldest rainforests on Earth, it holds secrets older than the Himalayas and shelters some of the rarest creatures on the planet. The elusive Malayan tiger, the shy sun bear, and families of roaming elephants. Threading through this lush expanse is the East-West Highway, a gray ribbon of convenience cutting through nature's masterpiece. It offers humans access, but not without cost. On this warm and tranquil afternoon, under a clear sky painted in soft blue, a 28-year-old driver guided his big white van along the familiar route. His eyes moved between the winding asphalt and the thick, tangled forest on either side. For him, this was a routine drive. He had long grown accustomed to the quiet majesty of Bilam Temengger. He'd often glimpsed wildlife at the forest's edge, pausing, watching, or feeding, always at a distance, always peaceful. Today, it seemed, would be no different. As he rounded a gentle bend, the driver noticed a mother elephant grazing calmly on the right-hand side of the road. Her trunk reached out to pluck tall grasses, her large ears flicking away flies. She stood in the open, yet at ease, a majestic silhouette against the dappled green, casting a long shadow in the afternoon sun. He slowed slightly, just enough to take stock. No movement, no other elephants. He judged the situation as safe. Another ordinary moment in the wild corridor. With both hands on the wheel, he continued his speed steady. But nature, in all her beauty, is rarely predictable. From the dense underbrush on the left side of the road, something small and sudden burst forth. A baby elephant, no more than a few years old, its ears flapping and trunk lifted as it made a dash across the highway. Perhaps it had been separated. Perhaps it had heard its mother's voice. In its innocence, it ran without caution. The driver's heart stopped. He slammed the brakes. Tires screamed, but the big white van, heavy and in motion, had too much momentum. The impact was sickening. The windshield shattered, glass spraying inward. The front of the vehicle crumpled inward. The baby elephant collapsed beside the right front wheel, silent, unmoving. At that moment, the forest seemed to inhale. The mother elephant turned. What she saw pierced her reality, a nightmare no creature should ever witness. With a deafening trumpet of anguish, she charged. Driven not by rage, but by sheer, uncontrollable grief, she crashed into the van's front. The metal groaned under her weight as she smashed and dented the bonnet, her tusks scraping the white paint, her trunk battering the grille. She circled the vehicle, her massive feet thudding against the earth, shaking the very air with each step. She stopped by the side of the van, next to the lifeless body of her calf. With slow, desperate motions, she pressed her head against the door, pushing, nudging as if to say, "Get up, come out, wake up." Her cries echoed across the trees, deep, primal wails that rose from her chest and shook the leaves. This was not just a wild animal reacting to a threat. This was a mother trying to undo the irreversible. She stayed, circling again, gently touching her calf with her trunk, unable to comprehend, refusing to accept. In that space between metal and jungle, grief found its form, and it was unbearably raw. Inside the van, the driver, though unharmed, sat stunned. The broken glass glinted in the sunlight. The dashboard warped from the impact. Trembling, he reached for his phone and contacted the Perhilliton Wildlife Protection Unit, the guardians of this ancient realm. It wasn't long before a team of officers arrived, stepping carefully from their vehicle as they assessed the scene. They kept a respectful distance. The mother elephant was still beside the van, her focus fixed entirely on her calf. With radios buzzing and eyes alert, the officers developed a plan. Approach too quickly, and the mother might charge. Wait too long, and she might injure herself or others. They moved slowly, calmly. One officer, familiar with this herd, softly called to her, offering no threat. After some time, with careful coaxing, they led her toward a nearby stream, hoping the cool water might offer her some comfort and give the rangers a brief moment to attend to the calf. Behind them, the broken van sat still. Around it, the jungle listened in silence. Despite every hope, the baby elephant was gone. There was no breath, no twitch of an ear, no flicker of life behind those soft, closed eyes. A young life, full of potential and wild innocence, extinguished in an instant. The officers, men and women hardened by years in the wild, stood quietly, heads lowered. No one spoke. There was nothing to say. They chose a clearing just off the road, shaded by tall trees and blanketed in moss and fern. There, with solemn care, they dug a resting place. The baby elephant was laid to rest, its body covered gently with earth. A flat stone was placed at the head, and around it they scattered leaves and wildflowers. In the distance, a hornbill called. The forest held its breath. This was no ordinary burial. It was a ritual of respect, of humans acknowledging their role in the tragedy and offering a farewell in the only way they could. And the trees, ancient and wise, seemed to understand. The mother elephant returned not long after. Led by the officers, she approached the burial site slowly, cautiously. She moved with none of the force she had shown before. Her ears were drooped, her steps heavy. As she neared the fresh grave, she paused. She lifted her trunk and sniffed the soil, circling the small mound of earth. Then, without sound, she knelt, resting her massive body beside it. She touched the earth again and again, delicate movements from a creature capable of immense strength. And from her eyes, tears rolled, carving lines through the dust on her face. No one spoke. The officers, seasoned as they were, could only watch. For nearly an hour, she stayed. Occasionally, she would raise her head and let out a soft, trembling rumble, a language older than speech, filled with sorrow and memory. And then, slowly, she rose. With one last glance, she turned and walked back toward the trees. Her large body disappeared into the forest's embrace, the light catching the sway of her tail. She did not look back, but her grief lingered, etched into the soil and into every heart that witnessed her farewell. In the wake of tragedy, change followed. The Bilam-Temenger Forest Reserve, one of Earth's most ancient green lawns, now bears new signs of human humility. In the months that followed, tall steel fences were erected along key stretches of the east-west highway. Speed limits were reduced, and bright, reflective wildlife crossing signs appeared, each one a silent plea. Slow down. You're not alone here. Authorities, conservationists, and indigenous communities began to work together, forging plans for underpasses and safe corridors, designed not for vehicles, but for the animals whose ancestral trails crisscross these lands. It was a gesture of repentance, a quiet recognition that coexistence must be earned, not assumed. The story of the mother and her calf rippled far beyond the rainforest. It entered classrooms, inspired petitions, and lit sparks of compassion in hearts across the globe. Tourists and locals alike now drive with greater care, their eyes scanning the tree-line, their minds holding the memory of that unforgettable day. The broken van was removed, but a simple marker remains. Rangers still visit, and when the wind stirs the leaves just right, some say you can hear a soft hush, like the breath of an elephant or a mother's final lullaby. This was not merely the loss of a young life. It was a turning point, a reminder that progress should never come at the price of empathy. If this story moved you, help us raise awareness. Like, share, and subscribe to support more wildlife stories from the front lines of conservation. In the heart of the forest, grief echoes louder than traffic. May we listen and act.